Hey guys, so I am back with another Mixed Dish review. This review is for episode 5. If you did not catch my reviews for episodes 1 through 4, please go check those out. So this episode, just like all the other episodes of this show, has a specific message in it where they make episodes based on specific situations that interracial families have to deal with. And so this episode, the topic is biracial people dating, because biracial people get a lot of the times they get watched under a microscope when it comes to who they choose to date. If they choose to date someone white or somebody black, people really focus on that because they almost want to see which side you've chosen. And so this is what this episode is all about. And so Michaela, who is Rainbow's best friend, asked her if she's going to the Sadie Hawkins dance. Now, the Sadie Hawkins dance is a dance where the girls actually ask the guys to go to the dance with them, other than the other way around. Now, Rainbow is excited to go to the dance, and she's excited to find somebody to ask to go to the dance with. Now, Rainbow and her siblings go home from school to tell their parents all about the Sadie Hawkins dance, and Santa Monica is feeling left out because she's in kindergarten, so obviously she's not going to be going to the Sadie Hawkins dance. So her grandfather offers to take her out on a date that night so that she doesn't feel left out, which I thought was really cute, that he's taking his granddaughter out on a little date. I thought that was cute. And so Rainbow starts to get nervous because Johan tells her that the boys have the option to say no if she asks them to the dance. And so she thought that they had no option. They absolutely had to say yes. And now she has the fear of rejection, which we can all relate to at some point in our lives. Either if we've ever asked somebody out before or we ever wanted to ask somebody out before, there's always that fear that they're going to say no and you're just going to be humiliated by it. And so she goes to Michaela for advice, who is the wrong person to go to for advice on relationships because Michaela has zero experience in dating. And so Michaela says that she's going to ask a boy to the dance that's younger than her so that she won't get rejected because she's older than them. So they're going to absolutely say yes to her. And I was like, this girl is something else. Okay, so then Rainbow tries to figure out who she wants to ask to go to the dance. And so she is thinking really hard about who she wants to go with because she can't seem to think of anybody and she's still nervous about being rejected. And so Rainbow's aunt Dee Dee ends up saying that she needs to go to the dance with a black boy because if she doesn't, it would be her turning against her black side and she'll end up with full white children. And that is the mindset that people have, is like, and that's how biracial people end up feeling at some point in their life. Not all, but some definitely do feel the pressure. Like, if I choose to date someone white, then I'm choosing my white side. If I choose to date somebody black, I'm choosing my black side. And then you just feel all this pressure on you. Like, you can't make the decision on your own, or you just can't like who you like. It has to be based off of race. And when you're in an interracial family, you don't think about that type of stuff because you see your parents together who are two different races, and so you don't see the problem with dating either one. But there's people who are in your family or maybe friends on either side who will put the pressure on you to make you feel like you have to choose a certain side, which is going on with Rainbow right now. And she's starting to have conflicting thoughts because her aunt Dee Dee puts the pressure all the way on. And so Rainbow's grandfather said that Rainbow should end up with a white guy because they're resources. And guys, just remember what time that this show is. Don't get triggered. This show is based off of 1985. So at this point in time, like I said in my other reviews, he's an older white man, and this is 1985 where they said things like this, and people were more vocal about how they felt and didn't really care. People weren't as, I don't want to say sensitive, but people, nowadays you kind of have to coddle people with what comes out of your mouth. You kind of have to always watch what you say. And back then, people didn't really watch what they said. So that's the case in this particular situation. And so Paul ends up giving his father a look because he said that. And it's like Paul always has to check his dad because his dad's mouth is reckless. And so Dee Dee brought up that Paul constantly brings up the fact that he has a black wife. And that his enthusiasm about having a black wife is starting to become weird. And so this starts to get to Alicia, and Alicia starts thinking about it herself. So Rainbow and her friend Michaela go out to eat together, and Michaela points out a white boy that Rainbow should go ask to the dance. And Rainbow actually has a crush on this white boy named Bryce, and she was scared to ask him because she felt like he was going to reject her, but she definitely wants to go with him because she has a crush on him. Now, the boy says hi to her while they're at this restaurant, and she gets all excited. Her and her friend get really giddy about it, which we all had that experience before, where a boy or a girl that we liked gave us a look or said hi to us or gave us a hug or something, and we got extra giddy inside about it with our friends. So I thought that was a cute little scene. So they come up with ideas of how Rainbow's going to ask this kid Bryce to the dance, and all the ideas that they came up with were an absolute fail. And so Michaela said that Rainbow should just call Bryce on the phone and ask him. So Alicia sits on the couch with Paul, and she asks him how many black women he's been with besides her. Now, Paul gets extremely uncomfortable with this question. I feel like he's confused about the questions that Alicia's asking him because he's not used to having to deal with that type of stuff with Alicia when they were on the commune. But now that they're outside of the commune, reality's starting to hit them now, because the commune was like La La Land for them. Now you come out to the real world where, I mean, things are going to hit you differently. And so he says that it doesn't matter, and at first he starts stumbling over his words. He doesn't know what to say. He doesn't know the right thing to say or the wrong thing to say, and Alicia's like giving him this look this whole time, so he has the fear of God inside of him at this point. And so he says that it doesn't matter, and that it shouldn't matter to her how many black women he's dated or didn't date before her, because they've been married for 15 years and she shouldn't really care about it. But now it seems like it's starting to get Alicia a little bit insecure. Now, in order to change the subject, Paul ends up turning the TV on so they can watch something on TV, and the TV starts talking about Robert De Niro's dating choices. And so Paul quickly turns off the TV because everybody knows that Robert De Niro has dated a lot of black women, and he was actually married and has children with a black woman. They're getting a divorce now, but at that time, remember, in 1985, is what they're talking about. That ended up popping up on the TV at the worst friggin' time possible. Rainbow calls the kid Bryce on the phone, and she pretends to be a different person because she gets really nervous and starts to freeze up and feels like she's going to get rejected. And so she says she's this girl Mary from history class, and she asks him which pages they needed to read for their class, and he starts reading it to her. And as he's reading it to her, she's sitting there on the phone saying she's some girl named Mary. Her father comes walking in and says her name, Rainbow, and she puts her hand over the phone and tells her dad to go away, which is a shame because, like, we do that to our dads so much. Like, they get the brunt end of everything when they have daughters because you just snap at them all the time. Like, and my poor dad, like, he has 4 daughters, okay? Now, you could just imagine him being the only man in the house and how many times he's got snapped at by all of us. So I thought that was like, damn, Paul. He always gets the brunt end of everything. And so Johan stands near the girls' bathroom the next day in school because he wants to get asked to the dance, and he felt like the girls' bathroom was the perfect place to stand there in order to get a female's attention. Weird. Okay, it's weird. So Rainbow and Michaela talk about what happened when she called the kid Bryce in the bathroom, and she told Michaela that it didn't go well and that they should just go to the dance together as friends and not worry about having any dates. Now, Rainbow gets shocked because Michaela tells her that she already has a date. Now, the key point is the date is actually Johan. She had Johan check the piece of paper as they were walking into the bathroom, and Rainbow didn't even notice it. So basically, Johan has a date and Michaela has a date because they're supposed to be going together, and now Rainbow has the pressure on her because she doesn't have a date yet. Alicia and Dee Dee talk on their lunch break, and she tells Dee Dee that she asked Paul how many black women he's dated besides her, and Dee Dee gets excited to find out because you know Dee Dee likes some gossip. And so she says that he wouldn't tell her, and Dee Dee says that it matters how many black women he's dated. And Alicia feels like if he says that he's dated more than just her as a black woman, that it would be a fetish. And if he dated a lot, wait, no, she said that if he dated more than one black woman, it could be a fetish. And if he's only dated one, she could be just an experiment. Which is something that people think about in interracial relationships. A lot of times you get that insecure feeling because the race thing does come up at some point in time, whether it's you guys bringing up the race thing or other people around you bringing it up all the time. You start to wonder things like that. And Alicia at this point is feeling insecure in her relationship because she feels like Paul has a type. She feels like Paul's type is black women, and so she feels like he's not seeing her for her. He's only seeing her as something that he's physically attracted to, and that he's not just attracted to herself, her personality and who she is as a person. Santa Monica and her grandfather are one and the same because they're sitting together trying to plan their night together, and he puts a list of restaurants they could go to that they can set a reservation for, and she asks him which one is the most expensive restaurant to go to, and he says it's the one without the prices showing on it, and Santa Monica says that that's the one that she wants to go to. So she's high maintenance already. So Paul goes to his dad about the situation with Alicia, and Paul says that what if he does see color when he started dating Alicia, and that maybe he did date Alicia because he has a type that's black women, and he dated her because specifically she's his type. And so basically the father was saying that he needs to get over it because his father is not nurturing in any way, shape, or form. So he tells him basically to get over it. And Paul says he has an obvious type, and now he's starting to feel insecure about his dating choices as well. So Bryce ends up talking to Rainbow at school, and he asks if she's the one that called him and pretended to be somebody else. And she tries to lie and say that she didn't call him and that it was somebody else and that she had gotten a phone call too. But the kid realizes that she's lying, and she ends up asking him to the dance, and he tells her yes, he would like to go with her. Now she gets really excited because he says that he wants to go to the dance with her. So she's excited now because now she officially has a date. Now her and Johan get home, and they tell Didi that they got dates. Now Didi asks Johan who he's going to the dance with, and he says a girl named Michaela, and Didi asks him what race she is. Is she white or is she black? And Rainbow tells her that she's Latina, and Didi says that she's fine with him dating a Latina girl just as long as she wasn't a white girl. And so Rainbow gets confused, and she asks Didi if she feels like Johan should be with a black girl, and Didi says yes, and that Didi says Latinos fit in better with black people than white people do. So if he chooses somebody Latino, she's fine with that. And so Rainbow gets a little bit down because now she feels like by her asking a white boy to the dance, she's letting her aunt down, and her aunt is not going to approve of who she's trying to go to the dance with. So now she's getting insecure, and she's trying to figure out whether or not she should even go to this dance at this point. And so when Didi asks Rainbow who she's going with, she says that she hasn't decided yet, even though she did decide, and she said that she was going to go with that kid Bryce, who's white. She didn't want to say it because she didn't want to hear what her aunt had to say about it. Now, I've had an experience where I was dating this Hispanic kid, and my aunt had told me that I broke the cycle because my mom obviously is with a white guy, my father, they're married, and then my oldest sister is with a white guy too. And so she was telling me that I had broke the cycle because I was with a kid who wasn't white. And so I have experience with an aunt doing something like that to me before too. So it's just, you have to decide whether or not you care what other people think or not. So Rainbow and the family go out shopping for clothes for the dance, and Rainbow comes out in a dress, and Paul says that she looks like a beautiful Vanessa Williams, and Alicia mumbles under her breath, interesting that you would choose a black celebrity. And so he's looking at her like, what did I do wrong now? Because like I said, Alicia's paying too close attention and overthinking this whole situation. And so a black woman comes up to them to try to help them, and Paul tries not to look at the woman because he knows Alicia's looking at him to stare at that woman and be attracted to that woman because she claims he has a type. And so Alicia tells him he knows that that woman who came up to them was his type. So why is he trying to avoid looking at the woman? And Paul is just completely at a loss for words because she is coming at him all over the place, and he really doesn't know what to say. Because if he says the wrong thing, it's not going to go so well for him. And if he says the right thing, Alicia's probably not even going to believe him because she's going to feel like he's telling her what she wants to hear. So at this point, he's damned if he does, he's damned if he don't. Now, Dee Dee asks again who Rainbow's going with. She even ran into the kid Bryce at the store, and she hid from him when she saw him. She hid inside the clothing rack, and the kid comes up to her and finds her in the clothing rack, and he tells her that he likes her dress and if that's the dress she's going to be wearing to the dance. And she tells him no, it's for a going away party, that she's going away, she joined the army, and she can't go with him to the dance. And the kid looks sad because she tells him she can't go with him to the dance. Now, Rainbow doesn't realize that Dee Dee caught this whole situation happening. She was watching from afar, and so she saw the white boy go up to her and try to talk to her. And so I'm interested to see what happens when Dee Dee talks to Rainbow about the whole situation. Now, Rainbow is in her room upset because she doesn't know what to do, and she probably not going to be able to go to the dance with anybody because she feels like she can't ask the white boy Bryce. So Dee Dee comes in the room and she asks her who the white boy was in the store, and she tells him that that's the boy she was going to go to the dance with, but now she's not, because Dee Dee's saying she needs to be with someone black. And so Dee Dee apologizes to Rainbow, and she tells her that she has her opinions on who the kids should be dating and things about their life that has to do with race, but that she doesn't want her opinions to affect their life and keep them from doing things that make them happy that they want to do. And so Rainbow starts to feel a little bit better because she feels like now she can go to the dance with the white kid Bryce, and her aunt's not going to disapprove of it, and her aunt's not going to feel some type of way about her doing it. And that's the thing with adults. It's like we have to be careful what we say around kids because kids take things so literal. And a lot of times kids want to please the adults in their life that mean a lot to them. And so like your opinion definitely affects those kids to the decisions that they choose to make. And so I thought that Dee Dee handled that situation well. Of course, you're going to have your opinions about things, but it's ultimately the other person's choice. Now, Alicia and Paul were listening outside the door because they feel like they have to pay attention to anything Dee Dee says to the kids because Dee Dee's advice is not always the best advice. Now, Alicia ends up apologizing to Paul for getting mad at him about him having a type, and that she was telling him that she had a fear that she was nothing special and that the only reason why he liked her is because of the way she looked physically, not because of who she is as a person. And so Paul reassured her that obviously he's physically attracted to her, which is definitely important. Physical attraction is definitely very important, but that he fell for her because of who she was as a person. And so they ended up making up, and I thought that was a good, important scene. Conversations like that do go on in interracial relationships, especially in this particular situation because of the time that they're in, 1985. Things like that still happen now in interracial relationships. Interracial couples have conversations like this a lot, and things can get difficult. And so the fact that they show what goes on in interracial relationships in this show, I think it's important for people to get a little peek and look on the inside. Even though it's not completely realistic, it still gets the point across, which is what you want it to do in the first place. You want to get the point across, whether it's completely realistic or not. And so Rainbow ends up going to the dance, and she meets up with the kid Bryce, and they end up walking and holding hands, and Rainbow looks completely happy. Her, Michaela, and Johan all have a good time at the dance. Rainbow and Bryce even start dancing with one another. The dancing was really awkward, though. It was like really weird. I was kind of embarrassed for them even having to do that scene, but whatever. And so the episode cut there. I thought it was actually a really good episode. I thought it was a really important topic because mixed race people talk about this a lot when it comes to their dating choices. They have conflicting thoughts as to who to date because a lot of the times they have a microscope on them on who they choose to end up being in a relationship with. There were points and times in my life where I felt that way too because I didn't want to let anybody down. I wanted to please everybody, and I didn't want to make it look like I was picking sides when I chose who to date. Although I never really had a type, based on race. It was really for me just whose personality and who I thought was physically attractive. I had crushes on Hispanic boys. I've had crushes on Black boys. I've had crushes on white boys. It changes. It has changed throughout the year. So it's just, it depends on you. I understand why families within different races, though, have a tendency to want the child to pick and choose a certain side. It's understandable why they would want to, but it's kind of hard to tell someone who's biracial, a mixture of two different races, to pick one over the other. It is difficult to do that because, especially if you're raised in the house with both your parents, that makes it even more difficult. But overall, I thought this was a really good episode. I want to know what you guys think about this episode down in the comment section. Like this video. Thank you to all my subscribers for the support. I appreciate you guys all so very much, more than you guys will ever know. You guys make this so much more fun for me. You guys always hit that like button for me, and you guys always comment down in the comment section and let me know what you think. And I love seeing what you guys thought of these episodes of the shows that I review. I think it's nice to hear other people's opinions on things. I like to see other people's take on things. So let me know what you think down in the comment section, and subscribe to my channel. I will be reviewing more shows than just Mixed-ish. I've reviewed so many more shows than I even thought I was going to, and I'll be doing so many more. So once again, thank you for all the support, and I will see you in my next video.